You never realize how much dust is on something until you turn off the lights and just throw a big spotlight on it, and then you're like, oh shoot, this is very dusty. I gotta clean that. Okay, so when I started YouTube earlier this year, I started a bit blindly. I didn't really have much of a plan, and I would watch videos on like how to start a YouTube channel. Here's what you do, the 10 tips or whatever. But being the kind of impatient teenager that I was just like, I'll figure it out later. Well, now it's later. And so these past few months, I went searching. I found many things, cater to your niche, answer specific questions, do this, do that. There's a lot of stuff that I learned, but I found 2 things that I think are super important and that I think applies to every single creator on YouTube that is honestly a really big eye-opener as to what exactly you're doing with your channel.
So I found 2 rules of YouTube. You have to choose either one of 2 paths to take your channel in. And those 2 paths are, you can either educate or you can entertain. These are the 2 things that people want when they're on YouTube. So for example, someone like Mr. Beast would be considered an entertainer versus someone like Sean Cannell. Someone like Think Media would be considered an educator. Now, sometimes you can have both, and a good example of this would be like Casey Neistat, Peter McKinnon, even Alex Mosley a little bit, because he creates his videos that are based on education, but he creates them in an entertaining way. But those are the 2 main things.
So great, what should I do? Well, it all really depends on your niche, but objectively speaking, educating is pretty easier. Do this, don't do that, speak with authority, you're solid. But here's where it gets kind of tricky. For example, let's just take me. I know my niche, but I wouldn't exactly call myself an expert or an authority on said niche. And right now, what I'm doing is that in order to learn, I'm looking at other people on YouTube, for example, and I'm taking whatever they're teaching and I'm grabbing that knowledge and applying it to myself. The way I guess I would see knowledge being is that 50% of it is brain knowledge. For example, let's take a camera. You understand how to turn it on, how your settings work, all of that. That's all brain knowledge. The other 50% comes from actually shooting. When you put in the experience of like going to an event and shooting, you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have my ISO always change. I should leave it on one ISO. Or, oh wait, I'm not gonna change my white balance anymore. Or let me prioritize this setting, yada, yada, yada. And then you get better at it. So 50% of it is knowing what to do, and then the other 50% is knowing how to do it, and the only way you're going to get to that other 50% is by actually doing the stuff.
Remember when I said that knowledge is made up of 2 categories? Category 1 would be your brain knowledge. Category 2 is your action knowledge. In other words, first category is you know what to do. Second category is that you know how to do it. 100% of your knowledge is roughly split up 50-50 between these 2 categories. For my specific niche and the things that I want to cover, my brain knowledge might be somewhere up here. Let's just call that 49.9%, because I don't know everything yet. But from what I know what to do and I've applied it into my life, it probably only takes up about this much, 1% of my knowledge. You add those together, and this is roughly where my knowledge is at on the certain topics that I want to talk about, which means I'm not yet an authority on the subjects that I want to talk about. So let's say this is me. If I were to purely educate in life where I'm at right now, I would just purely be moving info from an already established authority. So let's say this is filmmaking. I would be moving info from someone like Peter McKinnon, right? So this is to an audience. This is odd. So I would just purely be moving info that I'm getting into the audience without ever really applying it to my life. So I would just pretty much be this like third party that nobody ever asked though. Nobody likes those third parties, so my videos wouldn't be doing as good because it's like you're just being redundant, dude. You don't have anything special going on. And even if it's good, I don't have any right to talk about it because I don't have any experience to back any of it up. So I'm pretty much just making claims, even if it's good stuff. I mean, here's an example that I'll give you. So let's say that you get into investing and you learn a lot about investing. And so you make a YouTube channel teaching people how to invest. And even if it's just generic stuff like dollar cost averaging, buy low, sell high, all of that stuff, you're still not going to have the same amount of authority as Warren Buffett. If Warren Buffett were to start a YouTube channel and he were to say the exact same thing as you, dollar cost average, buy low, sell high, hedge funds, all of that, it's just all generic stuff. You could be like, dude, I'm saying the exact same stuff as him. You are, but here's the big difference, is that you forgot to start Berkshire Hathaway and scale it to $1 billion company. before you start talking about all this stuff. And that's just an exaggeration, but it applies to every level. And so, yeah. By the way, if you like that, I got most of that analogy from Alex Hormozy. I mean, that guy is a beast when it comes to education and just making things pop out in a way that you understand. Anyway, the reason I say this is because he has a new live event coming up where he's going to be dropping his 3rd book. I read his 1st book, it's amazing, and this one is supposed to be better. And the event's completely free. If you want to learn more about that, the link will be in the description below. Totally awesome. I learned a lot from him. And in fact, this is a perfect way of explaining how I got knowledge from him, and now I've applied it to my life, and now I'm trying to explain it to you. So this is a perfect example of the system. All that to say, if you liked what I just talked about right here, then check out the link below. Register for his free event. It's going to be awesome. But yeah, let's move on to the next part. Now here's the thing, anyone can entertain, but only a few can educate. However, it doesn't have to be limited to those few people that are educated. So if you're like me, you're not an authority on it, but you know what to do, you just haven't done it yet. So what I would suggest is focus on entertaining and document your education along the way. Now, notice I said document your education. Let me explain.
So here's the process that I would take. You entertain your viewers, you do something, and then you just talk about what you just did. In doing so, you go from saying things like how to saying things like how I. You don't claim to be an authority on everything, just on what you did. Which means your education process probably looks something like this. You start saying things like how I did, whatever. Maybe it'll work for you. In doing so, you don't take the role of the teacher, but instead you take the role of the student who's just a few steps ahead of everybody else and is willing to help. As time passes, you will get better, and that is what's supposed to happen. And then you could probably think about converting your channel into just purely educational, because now you are an expert and you are an authority on said topic. So I'm going to focus on entertaining and then document my journey as I learn. And when I learn, I will talk about what I just learned, and that is where the education part comes in. But yeah, so yeah, channel's probably gonna go more in that direction. We're just gonna focus more on entertainment with a dash of education, like that. All right, cool. So that's the end of this video. If you liked it, make sure to give a big thumbs up. If you did not like it, make sure to leave a big thumbs down and comment about what I could do better. If you have not subscribed, go ahead and do so now. And to those who have subscribed, thank you very much. My goal is to get past 1,000 subscribers very soon. And I know I'm at like 35 right now, so that's pretty ambitious. But you have to have faith. So that's what I'm doing. So if you can go ahead, help me out with that, much appreciated. And yeah, any links or anything that I mentioned will be down below. Go ahead and check them out. And yeah, until next time, my name's Estevan. Keep staying creative, and God bless. Estevan out. Whoa.